The person that you see on the screen, we all probably know, if some of you know of him, is Michael Rappaport. And this him portraying the character of Remy, which I think he did a good job on the movie portraying Remy. I want to discuss, because a lot of people who look at higher learning, you might look at the character Remy as being a villain, somebody who's very deviant. You just look at, a lot of people might end up looking at the outcome of him, like basically who he is, who he turned out to be, instead of what he was before. And I think, the movie Higher Learning is a good movie. I enjoy that movie. And John Singleton, he did a great job on that movie, like he always does on all of his movies. But I saw that movie like maybe months ago, and I kind of think back on the Remy character that Michael Rappaport portrayed. And it's much deeper to me. I mean, to me, it is much deeper than a lot of people don't really, probably it's much deeper to me than it is to anybody else, because I get the character of Remy. And the reason is that I can kind of relate to Remy to a degree. But Remy character is, a little bit more severe. Basically, Remy on Higher Learning, and for those who haven't seen the movie, it's going to be a spoiler. So watch the movie, then come back and you can listen to this. But the Remy character, he started off as a guy who kind of he looked a little interested and want to meet the world he lived in, because a little backstory of him, he brought up from the Midwest, I think Wyoming to be exact. And he traveled all the way to a fictional school called Columbus University, which I believe is in California. And he started off as being just a outcast, socially awkward, because he don't really he lived in a, like, throughout his earlier years, he lived in a rural area along with his father, who was abusive to him. And he decided to venture out on his own and experience the world for what it is. And he meet different people, multicultural. And at first, it seemed like he happy. He want to interact with people. That's what his character seemed to want to do. And he made friends with the Malik character, who's portrayed by Omar Epps, playing basketball with him. I think it was NBA Jam. That was the game back then. I remember that game. But he portrayed as being a guy that, he just wanted to make friends. He wanted to be cool like everybody else. He tried to fit in. That's what it is. He wanted to be a part of something. He wanted to belong to something, because he was a little confused. He also, went to school to, I guess, to study. I don't know what he was majoring in, but he went to study. He had like some boisterous, loud, bossy, bullying roommates that caused him to want to move out of his room, and he couldn't really get along with them. So he actually move in with another person. I think this guy might be foreign. I don't know. But he moved in with him, and this guy don't really like him that much, because his new roommate saw him as a weird type of guy, very weird. And he just, I guess, basically, he just socially awkward. He probably knew about it, but he still seemed a little weird with him. And it got himself into a situation where he almost got into a little altercation with a guy, because of this man wanted to sexually assault a woman who was also another character in the movie. And I guess he called himself trying to give him props, but don't know that that actually could offend people, especially for a guy knowing that he couldn't get none. And this guy want to jack him, but want to jack him up, and of course somebody stop it. He say, he seemed confused, like, okay, I'm trying to be like everybody else. I'm trying to be cool. Well, I mean, that's some of the basis of the stuff he went through as college when he first went into Columbus. Later on, he met up with some skinheads. The skinheads talked to him about the right white race and, try to get him to join. At first, he kind of seemed a little nonchalant with it, but he also think back, hey, at least I'm meeting some new people and I'm in a place where people look like they is welcome me with open arms. I'm in a situation where I feel like I belong to something. I'm a part of something. So he joined that organization. They indoctrinated him with hatred of, I guess, people of different race, especially the black people, black folks. They, like, while they indoctrinating him and everything, he kind of, I guess, reflect on some of the stuff that, I guess, how he was treated. Like, say for instance, his the roommates and his friends who were black, how they treated him and everything. He kind of think back on that, and that built up hatred towards him. And him being a little bit young and naive, he felt like, okay, this is part of who I am. Maybe this is who I'm supposed to be. And he tried to go to school, and he's slowly changing from the person he was, and he changed him to something more than what he. It changed him to something different compared to when he first got in school. He became more hostile. He became more angry, a little angry, very short patient. He willing to fight and possibly willing to kill. Then he got into an altercation with some of the other students, that Malik character, and Malik paid him a visit and I guess punked him out. That had him very angry, upset, to the point of think he wanted to commit suicide at first, but he didn't, because he just felt like, he's out of place. Nobody want to deal with him. He just dealt with he just for in his mind he felt like he dealt with a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, and he just felt like he don't belong to nothing except for the little crowd he has. And that's when he say enough is enough. So after the little fight he had with some of the other students, some of the black students, some of the racist skinheads prop him up to prove his worth. He must kill somebody, which he in turn did kill. I'm trying to remember her name. Phasia. She portrayed by Tyra Banks act as her character. Deja. I think it's Deja or Phasia. But he shot her, and that's when Malik came looking for him, and he found him and put a beating on him, and the cops came and took him off of him, of course. But he see the error in his ways, and he saw how far he gotten, and he know that he just murdered somebody. Before he was cornered during the time he was cornered by the cops, and before he took his own life, he apologized to Malik, saying that he's sorry for everything he done. He apologized to the officers as well, and he took the gun and shot him in his head prior to him shooting himself in the head. he just told the officers, and I think that's probably what his major was. He wanted to be an engineer. He said he just wanted to be somebody. You know, he just wanted a family. You know, not fam. Well, not. I don't think he said he wanted a family. He just want to be. He want to be a part of something. He want to be an engineer. He want to go to school. He don't want to be a killer. He don't want to be that person full of hate. But he like I say, he was confused, and that's when he took his life. But Remy character is very, and I had to talk about him too. His character is very, complex. It's much deeper is than what people think it is. People might look at him as, oh, he's just a racist little boy, a racist young man. He just full of hate. But the hate actually developed and it was indoctrinated into him. Remy just a regular, confused young man who was sheltered, and he got out the world, and he see the world isn't as probably is much bigger than what he realized, and he want to be a part of it, but he don't really know how to interact with people. He don't know how to associate himself with people, and he tried, I guess, hanging with people. He tried to be friends with people. They wouldn't give him a chance. And the reason why I say I can kind of relate to him because at one point I was socially awkward. I do want to intermingle with people. I do sometimes want to do certain things with people just to prove that I'm cool like them. At one point in time, I smoked a few cigars and probably this when I was much younger and try to, drink a few, I guess, alcohol. But it didn't work out as I just didn't like it. It just wasn't me. And I used to see myself as not cool like the other people. And I say to myself, am I the only black person that don't get high or get drunk? I'm just normal. And I think to myself, no, I can't be. I'm just a regular clean cut dude. I don't have a record or anything. I just want to be like everybody else because I had that thought like Remy myself. I want to be a part of something no matter what it is. Me personally, though, I just like to intermingle with people. I like attention. I like acknowledgement. I like respect. And I think that's what Remy is seeking. He was seeking. He's seeking acknowledgement. He's seeking people, validation of people. He really want friends because when Remy went to school, he didn't have no hatred for nobody. In fact, Remy want to be friends with people. Anybody, no matter what the color it is, he just want to be friends with anybody. He just want, like I said, you want to be a part of something. And people don't realize is some of the stuff that you say and do to a person, you can actually change that person's life for the better or the worse. And my point is, you got to be careful how you communicate with people because you never know what a person's background is. And as for people who can relate to Remy, such as myself, sometimes it's best to open yourself up and let the world meet you. You don't really have to be somebody you're not. Just be who you are. Sometimes you might, develop another identity based off of experience. And I think that what happened with Remy. He changed like I think that was like within that semester. It just took a few months that changed Remy from a socially awkward but kind guy to a guy full of hate and rage and bigots and just like not much of a psychopath but somebody who looked like he done had it. Cause you could just look at that. If you look at the screen, just look at his face. He seemed angry, but deep down, Remy just need a friend, or friends rather. He need people to acknowledge him. He need people to communicate with him. He need a good friend to stand by him and tell him right from wrong. Tell him, Remy, you don't really have to do that. You know what you should do? You should do this and you should do that. Basically give him a few pointers on how to communicate with people. He just needed that friend. That's all. And I think he would accept anybody. And for people who are is like Remy, and I kind of dedicate to this muchly younger people who are much younger. Be yourself, and also find find the person that is more compatible with you. Sometimes you might be in an environment where not many people are like you. However, it's good sometimes to be lonely. Like they say, always lonely up top, but very crowded in the bottom. You at the top of the pyramid. That's where you want to be anyway. So with the Remy character, with the Remy character, I think some of us can relate to him. And be careful who you interact with. This concludes this video of Remy, the character Remy. And the reason why I kind of brought that up and do a video on that, because I just gave it, I just give his character some thoughts, that was in my mind after watching that movie a few times. And if you haven't seen Higher Learning, I spoiled it for y'all, but the one who haven't seen it, but I did warn you that it was going to be spoilers. And if you don't care about spoilers, you can go ahead and watch Higher Learning and see for yourself. Look at the transitioning of his character.